Yeah, so we're just waiting for some combination of Jody, Mike, Taco, Jerry. Okay, Kevin, you might want to have Lauren just double check. I got 12:59. Just see if we got everybody else that was expected ready to dial in. There's Heidi. Okay, I need to check that one.
Hello there.
Hi there, Heidi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
There's Mike. Okay. Heidi, was Jerry going to join you?
He is. He'll probably be joining from his office.
Okay.
I think he's just finishing up with somebody right now.
Got it.
There he is.
Mike, can you hear us okay? Good. And there's Taco joining.
And there's Steve, there's a call-in user. I don't know if that's a board member or not. It's just a call-in.
Okay. All right, so who might be calling in not on video?
John Worrell, Central Region, Steve.
Oh, hey, John, how are you? Okay, there's Lady Lake.
Yep.
And while we're talking, John, there are no customers?
No, I'm in mobile. I'm on my phone. Nobody's in the office.
Okay.
John Neves is.
Okay. All right, so we see Jerry. Call us, hear us okay, Jerry?
Yep, got you.
All right. So, just waiting for Taco.
Sir.
Okay, yeah, I see your name. Are you connecting by video, Taco?
I am working on it.
Okay. Companion. John Nieves, you're there, right, in the Lady Lake office? Might be muted.
I'm here.
I'll call him and make sure he's on. There he is.
Yep, got him. Okay, thanks, John. Robert Companion, can you hear us okay?
I can.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Welcome.
Thank you.
I can. All right, so basically just waiting for Taco to video connect. How about Jody from Marion?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Steve, I can hear you just fine, so feel free. You don't have to wait for my technical difficulties.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Mr. Chairman, we have Pam, yourself, Tamara, Jody. Excuse me, not Jody.
He's here.
Oh, I'm sorry. We by audio, and Mike, Carballo, Taco, Jerry, and Heidi. So you're in good order to convene the meeting. Heather and Jean are on. The team in Longwood, and I'm joining with the Pasco office. So you're good to go.
Hi.
With that, we'll call the meeting to order. If everyone would rise for the invocation followed by the pledge. Lord, keep the United States of America, our states, cities, and other governments under your care. Bless the leaders of our land that we may be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to all with whom we share this earth. All who hold elected office and those of us with other governing authority grant wisdom and grace in the exercise of our duties. To all of us in public service, grant us courage, knowledge, and foresight to provide for the needs of all our communities and to fulfill our obligations responsibly and with the highest standard of quality and ethical conduct. Most importantly, teach our people to rely on your strength and to accept their responsibilities to their fellow citizens, that they may elect trustworthy leaders and make wise decisions for the well-being of our society, that we may serve as you have shown us through your example. Lord, may our generation faithfully uphold honor, courage, wisdom, temperance, justice, and harmony in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with that, we just want to do the quick check-in. Steve, is there anyone in any of our remote offices that is looking to address the board?
No, sir. We have no customers or members of the public present to speak.
All right, very good. So we're going to take an item a little bit out of order then. Understand we have a couple of board members moving on, and we wanted to take some time to acknowledge that. So, Steve?
Dana or Lauren, can you bring up that picture, that photo of a little memento? Okay.
All right.
Dang.
So we have a changing.
Water drop.
Yeah, we have a changing of the guard here with two members. Mr. Chairman, as you know, Bob Titterington left Marion County to become county engineer in Bellevue. We invited him to join here because Will Fontaine was there to present a little something to him. Jerry Cameron is riding off into the sunset into retirement. So this is his last meeting. And then Taco has an introduction to make. So if you want to just go ahead and read the water drop there.
Sure.
This is being presented to both Bob and Jerry.
All right, very good. And to both of you, good luck. Bob, I'm sure I'll be seeing a lot of you around here. And Jerry, good luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
The water drop. The water drop says, with utmost gratitude for your service as a governing board member with the Florida Governmental Utility Authority. Through your time, dedication, and steady leadership, you have helped guide remarkable improvements to water and wastewater services for thousands of customers throughout Florida. Best wishes, Board of Directors and staff, FGUA, June of 2021. So thank you both very much for your service on the board. You know, Jerry, we didn't get a whole lot of time to get to know you, but we all want to get to where you are now, and that's retirement. So good luck.
And
I'm going to see if I can do it this time. This will be the third try.
Oh boy. I hope I get it the first time.
I'm not going to take 3 minutes.
all right, and Bob, good best wishes in your new job. Bellevue's gain is Marion's loss.
Yeah, well, I do miss Marion, but I'm happy to be here at the city of Bellevue, and I learned a lot from FGUA and some of the utility stuff that how some of your stuff is handled, and so it'll help me definitely here in my job at Bellevue. So I enjoyed serving on the board and representing Marion County, and I know that Jody is just tickled to death to take over the that position and get to come to all the board meetings.
Mm. All right. Okay, so we can let Bob get back to his work, and we should ask Taco to make an introduction. There's a change there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Steve. So up until this point, I was the primary, and Robert Companion, the Nassau County engineer, was the alternative for a couple of different reasons. One of them being the negotiation of the sale of NAU to the FGUA. Our council has suggested that the county engineer take the lead seat at the board of directors. And so today I wanted to introduce Robert to all of you, let him introduce himself to you. He does a great job for Nassau County in a number of different capacities, and quite frankly, he's a lot more knowledgeable in this subject matter than I am anyways, and so he'll probably add a lot more to the conversation. So with that, Robert, if you want to introduce yourself, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Taco. Like Taco says, Robert Companion here, and just quickly want to say looking forward to working with you all. So thank you.
Welcome, Robert. We're glad to have you on the board. And Taco, hope we haven't seen the last of you, man. You know, we've shared a few meetings together, and that acquisition was quite an undertaking. So hope you hang around a little bit.
Yes, I don't plan on going anywhere, so I'll be around.
Okay. With that, I guess we'll move on to the minutes. Item M1, approval of the May 20th, 2021 FGUA Board of Director meeting minutes. Is there a motion for approval?
Mike, I make motion.
Sam, second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And I think some of you guys may be muted, so if you're a board member, please unmute so we can hear you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Staff, is there anything that we need to pull and discuss?
No, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to point out that CA10 came in with the supplemental. That's merely a annual extension, one-year extension of the REF TELUS Financial Services Agreement. They are in the middle of a lot of important work for us, so we added that to the consent agenda for your approval.
Good. Board members, any items that you want to pull for discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Sam, I'll make the motion to approve.
Mike, second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to Finance and Administration, FA1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Delina, our CFO, is taking a much-needed break, doing some missionary work, but is able, number two, Mickey Joseph is here to present two items. One is a renewal of our lease at Lady Lake, and the other is a budget presentation, just to give you sort of an overview summary of how the budget's looking that we will be delivering to you in July. So, Mick, you want to go ahead and take that up?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. FA1 is, as Steve said, a lease renewal, 5-year lease renewal for our Lady Lake office that services our central region. We assumed this lease with the acquisition of the office systems back in 2013. It's ideally located. It's right in the middle of pretty much everything. It's very close to the villages. This renewal will not result in any immediate cost increases, but nor will it change the future indexing, 3% index on the base rent and up to 5% on the CAM, but I've seen an average of 4% each year between the two ever since we've had this lease.
Right. We did check the market rates, and it is competitive.
Okay. So we are looking for board action on this, approval of the Lady Lake office lease renewal. Board members, any questions for staff? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
It's Mike, I'll make the motion.
And second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. FA2. Mickey?
Going to bring that presentation up. Just for those members relatively new, this is the time of year when we give you a overview of the upcoming budget as it's coming together. The trick here is to walk you through 15 different enterprise funds, have unique characteristics, 80 utility systems, and try not to put people to sleep. Trying to hit the high points, though.
Quite a bar.
Exactly. So this will be a learning experience for Mickey.
Yes, it will.
Take it away.
And we can go ahead and move on to slide 2. These are the same general trends that we see every year. As always, water sold indicates stability and some growth. This year's pre-approved CPI index will be 1.97%. We are seeing customer growth in Lehigh, North Fort Myers, Pasco, Denellen, and Flagler. That's pretty much half of our systems are seeing customer growth. We are still able to maximize additional PAYGO funds. You'll see a little bit of a bump in FY21. That is mainly due to FY20 funds rolling forward into the current fiscal year, and then we level off again beginning next year. Next slide. And same as we are used to seeing, we manage this budget to be sensitive to our customers' costs. We are aware of our rate structures, but we also want to maintain very strong bond coverage, good liquidity, keep the systems up and running and in good condition, and provide the best customer service that we can. This year, we're not proposing to waive any of the CPI indexes. Next slide. And this shows that we have very strong bond ratings across the board, all in the A range. Most recent upgrades were back in July of last year. We're very sensitive to that and always try to satisfy the rating agencies as best we can. Water sales, as previously said, are stable. Due to the fact that the FGUA does not have such a significant commercial customer base as we might be used to seeing in a full-blown county utility or city utility, water sold was not as adversely affected in FY20 by the COVID virus as we've heard horror stories about in other utilities. Next. General summary of the sources of revenue for our projections for next year. Projecting to be about 1.8 to 1.9% higher than the previous year. Very similar with our expenses, we're projecting about a 2.4, 2.5% increase over last year. Of particular note is the amount of PAYGO that we are contributing this year. Compared to the required R&R transfer, we are contributing roughly 3 times the amount of R&R in the form of PAYGO to truly invest in these systems to keep up with the renewals and the replacements and any improvements that are necessary. So we are not shy about taking in dollars where we see the need and where we are able to. Next. Tentative budget for the capital needs over the next 5 years. You'll notice a significant portion of this 5-year budget, almost half, is tied to our pursuit of state and local grants through either the form of straight-up grants, matching grants, or SRF loans. We are trying to maximize our acquisition of those funds as best we can, in particular to expand certain systems. And carrying on with that, you'll notice here Lehigh and North Fort Myers together have the lion's share of the 5-year capital budget. That is primarily due to our planned expansion of service lines and plant capacity. A special note with the general fund, it does include the continuation of the Nassau County interlocal agreement work that we do. That equates to roughly 95% of the overall revenue coming in and expenses going out for the general fund. Nothing really of note on this slide. For the next, every couple of years, we do plan to replace at least one, if not two, vehicles. With Lehigh, we do show a strong cash on hand position over the next 5 years. We see that to average roughly 700 days cash on hand over the next 5 years. Important to note that that funding source might be required to contribute towards some matching grants, and as you'll see, we are trying to go after $36 million in grant and SRF funding for plant expansions and main extensions, and we might actually need to tap into that 700 days to get that free money. Also, note with Lehigh, we have pretty strong debt coverage in the system, 1.28%, or 1.28, compared to a requirement of 1. And as previously discussed, the projects on this slide that are going for all of that grant funding, the sanitary sewer extension, disposal well and nanofiltration treatment, as well as water main extensions. And we are also monitoring for any state appropriation funds that we might be able to utilize towards these projects or new projects in the future. Pasco has moderate cash on hand. It's averaging 275 days over the next 5 years. We are also monitoring the effects of the bulk water and wastewater rate increases on the operating budget. That, combined with some I&I issues that might arise, could put some pressure, but currently things are stable and looking very good. Strong coverage in the system of 1.44. And to reinforce that, tentative coverage for next year is 1.45. Nothing of special note on the capital improvement plan. Move on from that. Consolidated does show the cash on hand position weakening over the next 5 years. It is currently projected to go from nearly 300 days cash on hand to between 130, 140. The primary reason for that is we had a county meter read correction for one of our bulk wastewater meters that resulted in a much higher expense than we anticipated. We are closely monitoring that and will make any needs corrections as they arise. But still, the system is strong, maintaining a 1.43 coverage over the next 5 years. next year, looking at 1.35 on the coverage, a little bit lower than current year, but again, we are monitoring those higher expenses as they come in so we don't adversely affect the overall financial health of the system. Nothing of special note here. Lindrick does show an improving cash on hand position. It was a little shaky there for a while, but it is now looking to increase and average somewhere between the mid 300 days to mid 400 days. It is also showing an improved debt coverage at an average of 1.87. A primary reason for that is we got a rate reduction from the city of Newport Richey for bulk wastewater, equates to almost a 20% rate reduction. That was a pleasant surprise towards the beginning of this year. And in addition, it also looks like the system is benefiting from our continuous I&I work. This situation may change with the rainy season coming in. Lindrick is susceptible to wet weather. We've seen it in the past, but overall we see the system improving just in time for the county to take it in mid to late fiscal year 2022. Again, as you can see, we expected this year to have a coverage of 1.43. It is projected now to be above 1.8 for both FY21 and FY22. Nothing of special note for Lindrick, with one exception. The county is going after a good chunk of change in state appropriation money for this system, pending the acquisition. North Fort Myers also has a strong cash on hand position over the next 5 years, averaging above 300 days cash on hand. It continues to have strong debt coverage. Similar to Lehigh, we are going to pursue over $20 million worth of grant and SRF funding to extend the lines for the system. As stated, 21-22 strong coverage is expected on the debt. And a special note here, we have the water main extensions at the septic to sewer project over the next 5 years, totaling over $21 million. We are also monitoring North Fort Myers for any state appropriation money we might be able to obtain. Lake Aqua continues to have a somewhat weak cash on hand position over the next 5 years, averaging around 140 days. It is stabilizing, but it is still the weakest of our systems over that time frame. Meanwhile, it is maintaining a strong bond coverage at 1.56 over the next 5 years. This can indicate that we might be able to pursue additional debt funding opportunities to get ahead of some of the capital needs that are affecting the cash position on hand for this system. And as stated, strong coverage next year is 1.46, but we hope to continue to stabilize that, if not improve it. Nothing of special note concerning the capital budget over the next 5 years. Unified's cash on hand position is beginning to stabilize over the next 5 years between 160 to 170 days cash on hand. Has a remarkably strong debt coverage at 2.26, so this system could potentially also take on additional debt to address the capital needs of the system to further improve the cash position on hand. Next year, we are projecting a 1.89 debt coverage for Unified. As you can see here, we have two projects, both totaling $2.2 million in SRF funding to replace water mains and to improve the collection systems. Denellen's cash on hand position is also increasing. It's looking to stabilize somewhere around the 400-day cash on hand mark. That cash on hand may be needed to bridge the required cash float for all the grant funding that this system is enjoying. While we continue to pursue a line of credit to then free up that cash for other capital needs. Next year, we're projecting to increase the net position for Denellen, which would be a nice change of pace. A particular note with the Denellen capital budget is the unfunded capital needs, considering the size of this system. But again, we have been very fortunate to win quite a bit of grant funding for the system, and we will continue to pursue those funding sources. Flagler, the newest member of the family, is projected to have a moderate cash on hand position over the next 5 years, averaging around 300 days. We expect healthy customer growth in the system. We are also looking to get $1.5 million from the county in state appropriation funding. And strong coverage projected for the system next year at 1.85, has a requirement of 1.15, which is different from the rest of our system simply because Flagler was acquired via an SRF loan and not our traditional bond funding. We can see here there's quite a few high-end, high-dollar projects, two related to Plantation Bay, as well as some grant funding coming in to supplement construction funds and PAYGO and R&R funds for Flagler. The bill is more or less driven by our federal contracts. Nothing too extravagant to note here. We do like to point out that our telecom tower rental does provide a nice chunk of change, which is one reason why we're able to fully fund the new admin building on site. Nothing of particular note here, and same with the capital. Next is on the docket, we will continue to work with the county in regards to the LINDRIC transition. We are in the process of updating the Flagler impact fees to get ahead of all of the growth that we expect to see in the system. Next month, actually, we will be bringing forth resolutions to adopt updated miscellaneous fee schedules for both Denellen and Flagler. Expecting to get final budgets out by October 1st. And as previously said, we will continue to monitor for any state appropriation funds that we might be able to make use of to throw out our capital budget and improve financial positions for these systems.
So if I could, Nick, before we invite any questions, I wanted to just clarify, add a couple of things. One is that we not included here are any rescue plan dollars, federal dollars. We mentioned the $1.5 million from Flagler. We have our tin cup out with Lee County government to try to see if they can provide us with some dollars for those systems, and Pam's working hard to help us there. So those dollars aren't reflected in here yet.
That's correct.
Once we pin down, agreements on that stuff, we'll update it in the fall. But we obviously have public hearings down in September for budget adoption. It also doesn't include the addition potentially of NAU, the Nassau Amelia utility. We hope to begin negotiating an acquisition on that in the month ahead, as soon as the governor signs the legislation. So again, we update the numbers and any changes between now and your September hearings. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we can be available for any questions, comments.
Board members, any questions on the preliminary budget?
This is Pam. More of a statement. First of all, thank you for the overview. That was really well done. And also, I appreciate the 20% bulk rate reduction. I believe that was an issue that's been going on for many, many years. And obviously, it's going to really help our position. So thank you, guys.
Any other comments, board members? All right, Mickey, I just want to say good job. You know, David, we didn't miss him that much. You can tell him that.
I'll break it to him gently.
He wasn't quite as animated as David, though. I was expecting some arm movement, but
yeah.
It's my first rodeo. Give me a break. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mick.
Move on to operations, OP1.
yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members. OP1 is a recommended approval of a 12-month contract renewal extensions to the firms that were previously selected for continuing contracts for professional engineering services for the FGUA. Back in 2017, the board executed 20 contracts with professional engineering firms. The original term of those contracts was a 3-year term with the option of 2 additional 12-month extensions. Last year, you all approved the first of those 2 12-month extensions. So in anticipation of those contracts expiring, most of them expiring next month, we're recommending the board approve the second and last of the 12-month extensions to those 20 contracts. All the engineering firms are listed in the abstract provided in your board package. In anticipation of those contracts expiring, we sent out contract renewal notification letters to all the firms offering up the second-year option. Those were all returned, and in those renewal notifications, all firms acknowledged that the original terms or the terms and conditions and pricing in the original contracts remains in full force and effect. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the second and last 12-month extensions to those 20 contracts.
Board members, any questions or comments? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
I move approval. Jerry Cameron.
For a second?
Second, Pam.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. OP2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. OP2's approval of the short-form settlement agreement between FDP and the FGUA for sanitary sewer overflow we had at Lift Station 8 and the Denellen utility system. I'm sure you recall last month I had briefed the board on the letter that was sent to the city, briefing them on what happened with the situation. And it really was just a small overflow on April 5th of about 1,000 gallons from our lift station. We've met with DEP and asked them to expedite the short form settlement agreement quickly. We got pre-approval before the settlement agreement by letter on May 19th to elect to do an in-kind project installing 3 SCADA systems at various lift stations. The minimum cost to offset the in-kind project was $5,254. However, we will be paying the $250 administrative fees. Staff recommends, with that said, the short form settlement agreement. which includes the option of the in-kind project in lieu of paying the civil penalties. And the chair of the FGUA board authorized the final agreement for approval. Any questions?
Board members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve, Jody.
You have a second?
Mike second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. OP3.
Good afternoon, Board. Before you, for your consideration, is a sale and purchase agreement with Marion County to purchase a parcel in the Chapmeyer neighborhood of Van Ellen. The need for this parcel was identified by the preliminary engineering for the septic to sewer project in that neighborhood, and a suitable parcel was identified. And it was found out that Marion County owned that parcel. Marion County acquired it by a tax deed. We reached out to the appropriate staff in Marion County, and they offered the parcel to sell for us, offered to sell the parcel to us. It is the FGUA for the purchase price of $3,000. There are other costs associated with acquiring this, for example, title insurance and other closing costs. So the total purchase or acquisition cost is expected to be $3,550. In addition to this, as you most of you know, is that Florida statutes require that any real property purchase be substantiated by an appraisal. However, property purchases under $100,000 are exempt from this statutory requirement, but a vote would need to be made by the board to determine that this property or this purchase is exempt from this requirement. So staff recommends the approval and signature of the purchase agreement, and that the board can make the determination that this purchase is exempt from the requirements of a commercial appraisal. With that, I'll answer any questions that there might be.
Board members, any questions or comments?
Is this a two-part motion, one for the exemption and one for the adoption or approval?
I think one motion to adopt would be sufficient. Gene or Heather, if you agree.
All right, I'll move.
One is sufficient, and because he's explained both, and that the vote will encompass both, yes.
I move that we approve that purchase.
Very good. Is there a second?
Pam, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other operations items?
No, Mr. Chairman, that's it.
Any informational items that we want to pull and discuss?
Not really. I think these are all your standard reports. There is a customer dispute settlement that Gene lists in IN9. They got involved with an attorneys involved, so, but I think that was a mutually beneficial settlement. Gene, unless you need to add anything to that.
Nothing to add.
Okay. All right. So that's it, Mr. Chairman, for IN.
Okay, we'll move on to System Manager, SM1.
Thank you. Very quick oral update. In your consent agenda was a couple of items having to do with a capital improvement project the county has us assisting them with. As you know, we have a operation maintenance management agreement, interlocal agreement to manage the system, operate it. But there's a second interlocal agreement that provides for capital improvement administration services, which also includes assessment services and grant loan administration. So there are two projects the two big projects we're working with on the capital grant, the capital improvement side, which is one is a booster station project. A couple of items that were approved earlier to essentially upgrade a water booster station that provides water supply pressure to the commercial corridor there on A1A and the island, including the Ritz-Carlton. Very critical project. The county's been trying to get that done for a few years now. So the second large capital project, and actually the highest dollar value, is a septic to sewer and well conversion project on Amelia Island in the American Beach community. We've mentioned this a couple of times. It's positioned to receive some large principal forgiveness SRF funding. We're just finished the design of that project. But in the course of doing that, oh, and by the way, there's a straw ballot referenda, which we've also assisted the county with, where all the property owners were mailed ballots to gauge the support of a special assessment to leverage the dollars. And the ballot period ended the 15th, and with our help, they're counting ballots next week. So in the course of securing the SRF dollars that are eligible for principal forgiveness as a small disadvantaged community, the county created a special dependent district to qualify for the population size of less than 10,000 persons and for median household income has to be less than the state average MHI. So that has allowed these specialized funds for small communities to flow. They're about to disperse dollars, and they ask that we specifically designate this district board as a party to the interlocal agreement between the FGUA and Nassau County, because it is the qualifying entity. It is going to be the recipient of the dollars. It is essentially the county commission, because the county commission is the board of that dependent district. But just so that all of the records are clear, they asked that we add the district as a member of our interlocal agreement, and that's essentially what this does. We drafted that amendment. FDP has approved it. The county commission has approved it. District has approved it, and now it just needs your approval to be finalized. So that is an action item under SM1A. Be happy to answer any questions.
Board members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval of the amended interlocal agreement adding American Beach Water and Sewer District?
Pam, I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. SM2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Kevin Grace is becoming our naval expert, so I'll let him cover SM2.
Thanks, Steve. Just a quick update on Mayport. Last time we talked to the board about Mayport, I think it was April, that we were expecting to be asked to prepare and submit our final proposal at any time. Turns out that was a bit premature and optimistic, I think, on our part. So last month we got another round of Q&A from the government, which is negotiation message 4. Had another telephone conference with the government team as well. So last month we've been working on responding to that. Last week we submitted our responses, as well as updated some of the pricing information and stuff to the government as well. So we're back at that point again. So the next step, we could be at the final proposal request this time, or we may have generated some more questions with the information we provided and end up with another round of Q&A. We'll just have to wait and see. So we'll try to keep the board up to date on Mayport as it progresses.
Very good. It sounds like under that circumstance, Kevin, that we don't really have any kind of a timeline. It's basically whatever.
Their timeline estimates a contract being awarded late spring next year. So, but what we would anticipate is that they're going to submit or ask for final proposals. Then they're going to pick somebody to negotiate a contract with, probably sometime later this year, we would anticipate, and then try to have a contract approved in late spring. But that's their proposed schedule. They don't always follow that. So.
Board members, any other questions or comments regarding that item? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Utility Council, UC1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. UC1 is a resolution to accept a warranty deed from the Reserve Homeowners Association at Flagler Beach. This will cover a tract of land that contains a lift station that is located in the Plantation Bay substation of the Flagler system. Back when we acquired the Flagler system, there were a few lift stations that had various title deficiencies. This was one of them. This was actually one where a lift station, rather than being located on the parcel that was designated for it, was built on the adjacent parcel. This matter was to be resolved by Flagler County after the closing, and recently, working with Flagler County and the property owner, we were able to get both pieces of property deeded to us, and we're recommending that the board adopt the attached resolution to accept this warranty deed.
Board members, any questions or comments on this item? Hearing none, is there a motion for approval?
I move it. Approval of that. Gary.
Mike, I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other UC items?
None today.
All right, very good. We'll move on to General Counsel, GC1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. GC1 is the legislative update. Just very quickly, the governor did act on the budget, and he allowed almost all of the water projects to be funded. That benefited Pasco and Citrus. Both received almost $10 million in funds for water projects. American Beach received $600,000 to help fund that project. Again, the governor's budget provided $50 million for Springs, about $226 million for the septic to sewer program that was created last year, and almost $500 million, 500 odd million for the Everglades project to clean up the water there from the lake before it goes through the Caloosahatchee and the St. Lucie Canal. Also $10 million then for the Blue-Green Algae Commission to help again fund projects for the St. Lucie, for the Indian River in order to prevent algae blooms. So again, all in all, a really good year for water resource protection and water resource treatment programs. The governor received 37 more bills today, but our bill was not among them. House Bill 487, still not received by the governor. As soon as it is, of course, he'll have 15 days in which to sign it or allow it to become law or veto it, as the case may be. The governor still has 120 bills. Legislature still holding on to 120 bills. He's approved 113 so far. So that's where we are, but we don't believe there are any problems with the bill containing the amendment for the Nassau acquisition. So we'll report on that as soon as we hear something from them, and I'll be glad to answer any questions people may have.
Board members, any questions or comments for Mr. Adams? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to GC2.
GC2 is our annual review and execution of the conflict of interest statement. The board adopted a policy in 2018 that requires an annual conflict of interest statement by the board members. Both the policy and the statement form are attached to your GC2 item. It's a sort of a self-executing thing. It asks you some questions and you check off your answers and then you sign it. We would ask that all the board members execute that and return it to the office in Longwood there to the agency clerk, Laura Duckworth. We'll collect those and then the board will review and approve those at our August meeting. So we just ask that you do it as soon as you can, and then we will bring it back to the board for review and approval. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. The definitions, if you have a question, what is a conflict of interest, or whether or not you're an independent member, that sort of thing, the definitions are there. But if you have any questions, you can call me and I'll be glad to go through it with you.
Very good. Any other GC items?
No, sir. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Well, I see here on board items, we still have Jerry Cameron's resignation on here. Jerry, I can see why you have trouble resigning, man. If I'd have got my plaque, I'd be halfway home by now.
Yeah, I struggle with it.
Well, good luck. Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, sir.
And Bob, one last time, anything to say?
Not really. I've enjoyed listening to you.
All right, we'll just go through the board members. Pam, anything to add?
No, thank you. Nothing today.
Mike?
No, thank you very much.
Taco? He's still on?
I think Taco dropped off and left it to me.
Okay.
So I do not have anything to, I do not have anything to add. Thank you.
Tamara?
No, thank you.
Jody?
Not today, thank you.
Heidi?
I've got nothing, thank you.
All right. So with that, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good afternoon now.